Grab a cocktail with us and welcome to the hot mess that is my life as a single makeup artist living in a college town in Florida. This is Kara's Lipstick Diary.
All right, you guys, we are back with another episode of Kara's Lipstick Diary. Have you subscribed? Did you hit the button? You know, it's like right there, right underneath the video if you're watching this on YouTube. Hit that button and subscribe. It would make my day. Please do it. Anyways, we are back with an episode about women's self-defense. I mean, I grew up in the Buffy era, and I definitely wanted to be Buffy the Vampire Slayer when I grew up. Unfortunately, that didn't quite happen. But with all the crazy out there, it's kind of important to learn some basic self-defense. So my guest and I today are going to talk about that and some of the different things we have seen when it hasn't been women teaching women how to do self-defense, because there's some different things that come into play with that. So let's make ourselves that cocktail. Are you guys ready? We are gonna make a white chocolate martini, and we're gonna use 2 ounces of vanilla vodka. Buy the stuff in bulk, you guys, because seriously, vanilla vodka just sort of makes everything better. All right, then we're gonna add in 2 ounces of white chocolate liqueur. All right, that looks so yummy. I'm so excited about this drink, you guys. All right, pouring that in there, and then we're gonna top it off with 4 ounces of cream. You know, a nice, fabulous chocolatey martini is just the greatest thing ever. All right, there's 2 and 4. Fantastic, you guys. You guys ready to talk about women's self-defense? Let's do it. All right, you guys, I am so excited to have my friend Maggie here with me. So Maggie and I went to school together.
Yes.
We've known each other way, way too long at this point. But I wanted to have her on the show because she actually works with women on women's self-defense. And working with women on self-defense oftentimes kind of gets overshadowed by men in the world of self-defense, and what men expect for self-defense is a little bit different than how women go about it and why we need it in the whole situation. So I invited Maggie to come on the show because, well, I mean, most women, we come into situations where we're gonna need this, and I have to say my training, not where it should be. So Maggie, what made you decide to sort of go into doing this type of work?
That's a very good question. So I found myself newly single after 9 years. I had a gun. I knew how to use it, but I had no formal training, right? Which most women do. And I found myself on Bumble, right? It was the first time on an app. I matched with this guy. We met, and it was like my knight in shining armor.
Oh, so exciting.
Right?
Right.
And so, you know, I was like, oh my gosh, this is too good to be true. Like he knows what I'm thinking
So
before.
was it too good to be true?
It was, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, you know, we did the dating thing, and all of a sudden things started getting a little kind of crazy and a lot of red flags, but of course, you know, very good.
We ignore those red flags
Yes.
because we love them.
Very good at ignoring the red flags. And so I remember one night we had gotten into like a little spat, and I got into the shower to kind of get away and kind of decompress. And he, you know, flung open the shower curtain, cornered me. And I remember thinking like, okay, if he hits you, this is gonna hurt.
Yeah.
And what are you gonna do? Like, you're gonna have to get up, and you're gonna have to get your gun, and you're gonna have to call 911. And so, you know, luckily he didn't hit me. The night went on. Of course, I'm so sorry. Like, I would never do anything, right? So things started kind of progressing.
Yeah.
Right?
Once that one thing happens, they keep happening.
They keep happening.
And it gets worse.
And it gets worse, right? And I remember my friend saying to me, like, he's gonna hit you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he wouldn't
He
hit
wouldn't
me.
do that.
He wouldn't hit me, right? And it got to a point where I'm like, okay, something's wrong. We're like, something's wrong here. I went to his house. I let myself in because I had a key, right? Walked in on him and another girl.
Oops.
Right? So totally enraged, screamed in my face, picked me up, threw me out the door.
Right, because it's your fault.
Right. Called
Right.
supposedly called the police. I left. The next morning, of course, it was like, I'm so sorry. Like, you mean the world to me, like the whole thing, right? So blocked him on my phone, email, social media, LinkedIn, like blocked his family, friends, whatever.
Yeah.
So the blocked number calls started happening, right? And I remember I knew who his ex-girlfriend was, right? Because I had heard her name more than I'd heard my own, right? And how crazy she was. And
right, because the exes are always crazy.
Always crazy. And so I reached out to her. Luckily, she talked to me. I'm, very thankful for that conversation. And it was weird because we're very similar, right? Brunettes, come from great families, well-educated, very strong, independent. And
they like breaking those down.
Right. And so, I won't get too much into her story because that's hers, but I remember her saying to me, the first time he hit me was my birthday. And I broke down because I was like, they were right. He was going to hit me. Mm-hmm. And so, of course, I had security cameras installed because I found out he was driving past my house. He was calling my office. I was having to hide my truck when I would go to work. The calls from blocked numbers, the voicemails, all of that stuff started happening, right? And I remember being afraid to be
you get scared to exist.
Right. I was afraid to be at home. I felt like a sitting duck. I was afraid to be at work because he knew where to find me. I was afraid to be in my truck because he knew what it looked like. I thought about moving. I thought about getting a new vehicle.
Right. And yet you did nothing.
I did nothing wrong. Right.
And yet you're suddenly having to, do I need to change my entire life?
My life.
Yeah.
Right. And so I filed a police report, and the officer was very sweet, but he said, we have found that, we can go talk to him, but we have found that, if we it makes it worse, right? And God forbid we make this fucking worse.
Yeah.
And then I got in touch with the domestic violence unit, and they said, he's going to have to hit you twice before we do anything. And I remember thinking, if he hits me once, he will fucking kill me, right? He's going to kill me. And so I felt super hopeless, right? I felt like, okay, this is how I die. This is the end for me. And my mom called and she said she was watching the news and this girl had called her mom in the middle of a domestic dispute and the mom listened to her daughter die on the phone. And I thought to myself, that's it. This is over. I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah, I can't be that person.
I cannot do that to my mom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Poor little Lorraine. I can't have her. So I decided, I'm not going to be a victim. Yeah. I'm not doing this anymore. So I started, I threw myself back into therapy. I started going back to the gun range, full force. I read everything I could on narcissists, on domestic violence, on violence itself, anything I could get my hands on, I started reading.
I mean, and you were already a bodybuilder at that point, correct?
Right. I had been in bodybuilding, I had been lifting, I had been doing all of this stuff. But yet, this guy was able to, break me down. Yeah. Right.
Well, I mean, and that obviously got you in the mindset of we've got to fucking change this. Right. And you know much of my story. So Maggie knows about someone I dated. I dated for a week and a half. People. She knew this person, knew previous people who he had been involved with. I was very fortunate because I got to hear from her, actually from her mother initially, because I did her mom's makeup and her mom was like, girl, you got to talk to Maggie. And be able to find out, because I dated this guy for a week and a half. I immediately knew something was up. Mm-hmm. There was substance abuse issues. Yep. His dog was protective of me.
Wow.
Which I thought was okay, this is weird. Normally dogs protect their owners. Right. Your dog is protecting me. Mm-hmm. And then one night we were in bed. He was asleep. He got up to go to the bathroom. I don't know if he was sleepwalking. I don't know what occurred. He started going out in the other room. Mm-hmm. And I was like, hey, where are you going? And he came back in bed and immediately went to punch me. Mm-hmm. And I was able to grab his arm because I think he was sort of sleepwalking. I'm not really sure because it was a very weird interaction. And then he went to do it again and he passed out. And I proceeded to grab all my shit.
Right.
And dart the fuck out.
Yeah.
I knew that I needed in writing that it was ending.
Right.
So I put in writing, this is over. It's not you, it's me, buddy. Gotta go. This isn't working. Right. Next thing I knew, I started getting the super crazy voicemails. Mm-hmm. When I didn't respond to those, then he started messaging me on social media. He started saying that he was coming into my neighborhood to get to know my neighbors, that he was friends with all the cops. He always had a gun and other weapons.
Yeah.
He always had a gun.
Which, by the way, he's a felon.
Yes. And very interesting that he has a gun. This is why gun regulation is important. Yes, learn safety. But also, this man
is the reason he should not have a gun. Like,
Right.
this man should never have had a gun. So I started getting paranoid. That's when I increased the security at my house.
Right.
Full alarm system, cameras, whole 9 yards. I thought he had gone away. Next thing I know, he would show up at events where I was.
Wasn't he at your pool too?
Yes,
Like,
he would
wasn't
come
hanging
to
out
my
at the
pool at my neighborhood.
Yeah.
I, again, thought eventually I'd gotten rid of him. We have a mutual friend that he also was involved with. Next thing I knew, he is suddenly contacting me again. This is literally like, this was in, I think, 2018, 2017, 2018. Literally 4 months ago, he started contacting me again.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I had another person reach out to me and say, we think our friend is involved with him. She has gone MIA. Please tell us your story.
Yeah.
I told my story. They were able to get her out, but we looked up, and sure enough, there's a list of things.
Yeah. Let me say, I want to give a shout out to the women who are comfortable sharing their story.
Yes.
With the new victims, because it is the most terrifying thing to think that that this is going to get out and he's going to contact you again and he's going to show up again, like if he hears that you're talking.
Yeah.
And it is terrifying.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing is there's a good chance he's going to watch this episode and know damn well it's him.
Oh, I know. I'm going to be like, hey.
Yeah. Because he hated you.
Right.
He hated you.
me.
And that was something I found weird, because I've known you for literally years.
Yeah.
And one of the first things he said to me was, don't trust Maggie.
Yeah.
Maggie's not a good person.
Well, he also put his hands on me at work. And I remember thinking, like, if you ever fucking put your hands on me again, like, this is not going to end well. And it, and it was an aggressive way, like it actually hurt, and so, I mean, he did that at work. We were in front of people.
Yeah.
So.
And that was, I got out after a week and a half.
Yeah.
But he's still in my life.
Yeah. He's still around.
And that's terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beyond terrifying. So I had never liked guns.
Yeah.
I grew up in a very hippie liberal household. Guns are bad, 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 bad.
Right.
I had a friend in college who lives in Texas, has lots of guns. She insisted that I learn how to shoot a gun early on, saying, like, you're going to need to know this one day.
Right.
And I was like, you're fucking nuts. No, I'm not.
Right.
And I hadn't touched a gun or looked at a gun since then.
Yeah.
But I had that situation happen. I've had other situations happen. We've talked about the guy on the show, who showed up at my house banging on the windows.
Yeah.
I have people, since I released the show, who message me thinking we're in a relationship that I've never met.
Right.
I have all the weird shit happening.
Right.
And so I've reached out to Maggie. We haven't done it yet because I keep getting a little paranoid. Because I did grow up with the anti-gun thing.
Right.
And with all the violence we're seeing right now with guns
Right.
and everything that's going on, it scares me because I'm not a gun person.
Right.
But I also know I need to be able to protect myself.
Right. So the thing that I hear a lot is the police will protect me. We know for a fact that it is very rare that the police will be able to get to you in time before something happens.
Yeah.
Right?
And there's that. And you have to have so much proof.
Right.
Before you can actually, pretty much have to die before you can get a protective order.
Right. And well, so this is the interesting part. So 20% of homicide victims who get a restraining order die 2 days after getting the order. 30% end up dying within a month from the hands of their abuser. So it's a piece of paper.
It does nothing.
It does nothing.
It literally does nothing.
And to have the domestic violence unit say to me he has to hit you twice, I'm like, yo, he will.
I don't want to get hit twice. Thanks, though. That's the whole reason I'm coming to you.
I'm 5'2" on a good day.
Yeah.
I'm very tiny. He would kill me.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, yes, I mean, the police do their best, but they can't get to you. I mean,
that's the thing.
We know that the average gunfight happens within 6 seconds.
Yeah.
Right. It's like a split second here, and the police can't get to you fast enough.
Well, and oftentimes, if it is someone that you have a domestic relationship with, they have gaslit you so
100%.
much. They have manipulated, entangled themselves in that by time it happens,
right,
you are
right. You're in shock.
You are in shock.
Right.
And we also talked about, we were talking when I was, doing your makeup in the chair. The response is, what is your response going to be when it happens? And a majority of people, when they are assaulted, in whatever way it is, tend to freeze.
Right.
I know when I was raped, I deer in headlights. I completely disassociated. I can't even tell you what happened for an entire chunk of it because I wasn't there.
It's called tonic immobility, and there was a study done in Stockholm by one of the hospitals that said 70% of rape victims are paralyzed by tonic immobility because of like total fear, right? So again, it's, we have this imagination of like, we're going to rise to the occasion.
I'm going to full-blown Buffy it, y'all.
Right, and I'm going to see red and I'm going to kill him. No, that doesn't happen, right? So we know that we default to our lowest level of training. So when the adrenaline's running and the cortisol kicks in and the fight or flight kicks in, like, how are you going to react?
Yeah.
Right. And so the proper training is necessary. And I tell my students this all the time. I'm like, okay, well, you have car insurance and you have health insurance and you have a fire extinguisher at your house, right? Just in case. And like in case something happens.
Right. Well, and that's been my thing. Like, cause like I say, I was very anti-guns. I never wanted to be around a gun, but I'm at the point now where I've had so much shit happen.
Right.
That I'm like, I need to learn, even if I don't per se buy the gun myself, I need to at least understand how to use it if I'm in that situation.
Right.
I need to know all the proper ways to safely use a gun.
Right.
So you teach lessons that are with just women.
Just women. So I teach men and women. I teach co-ed classes, but I have women's only classes. I love doing private lessons. So, if you feel uncomfortable around other people, like we can do a one-on-one lesson. I built a private range. So there's nobody else there, which is really nice. And we literally break down the gun, like take it apart. I show you how it works, the safeties that are involved with it. And then we start shooting. And Kara, it's very interesting. A lot of my first time female shooters, after their first shot, just start crying because of this overwhelming, anxiety that they've had, and they've literally just pulled the trigger for the first time.
Well, and I think, as women, there's constantly anxiety.
Yeah.
You walk down the street.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going to happen. You go to get gas and you've got the men leering at you outside the window.
My boyfriend doesn't understand why I don't like pumping my own gas. Right.
It's extremely unnerving as a woman to pump gas.
Right.
Because literally you get out of the car, every man turns and looks at you.
Yeah.
There's usually catcalling. There's usually trying to start up a conversation.
Hey, smile.
A smile. I'm pumping fucking gas.
Yeah. And and Dave has said to me, like, I don't understand why. And I'm like, I get catcalled, or like I'm a pretty girl in a big truck. Like, what do you think's gonna happen? And he was like, I've just never felt the urge to like catcall a woman at a gas
and we
station.
love you for that. We appreciate you. You are a decent human being. The problem is most of the time that's not what we're encountering. And so I had the opportunity to attend a brief little workshop, and it was on hand-to-hand self-defense.
Right.
And it was taught by a man. And first thing I said was, okay, I understand when you are doing initial training for hand-to-hand type stuff. Obviously, we're going to be barefoot and on mats and all of that. But once you get more advanced, as a woman, like, do you train women how to do this in high heels and a mini skirt?
Right.
And he was like, no, why would I do that? Bitch, that's when I'm going to get fucking attacked.
Right.
2, he proceeded to do the entire training. The entire training was if I was out with my man and I got attacked out in public with my man, to stand behind my man and let my man protect me. I'm sorry. Again, now I can see if we're getting mugged, that's going to happen. But if I am walking down the street by myself in my stilettos, getting into my car after a night out with my girlfriends, that's when I'm going to get attacked.
Right.
So I need to know how to fucking defend myself by myself in my stilettos, because honey, these shoes are what I'm going to be wearing, and I can't just pull them off.
Right.
Like, it is a process.
Right.
And I'm going to be wearing something like this, or I'm going to be in a mini skirt, or I'm going to be in a halter, and I need to know how to defend myself that way.
Right.
How does one do that? And that was what I found extremely shocking, is I kept seeing over and over again, it was men teaching women how to do this, but not even understanding what it is we have to do.
Right. And that's why I got it. One, that's why I got into teaching gun lessons, because it's a male dominated industry.
Yes.
There are very few qualified female instructors.
Agreed.
Right. And I say qualified because that's a big deal. And if you walk into a class and a guy says to you, in 3 hours or less, you're going to learn how to kick somebody's ass, that's a lie. Like, get your money and run out the door. Because, so again, on this journey, I realized, like, the gun isn't always the first option. It may not be the appropriate option at this time. I may not have it on. Like, sometimes I just want to wear a cute little tank top and not have to carry a gun with me.
Well, and no offense, I don't really want to be packing a gun all the time. That's just not me. Like,
I've had to, like, size up my pants and like redo my wardrobe if I want to carry a gun.
And like, for me, like, y'all know I'm in tight ass pants usually and like
It's
a bra top. Like, where the fuck am I going to put a gun? And I don't want to. That's just not me.
Right.
But
so so a year and a half ago, I did my research. I found like one of the best gyms in Gainesville. It's called West End Martial Arts. Shout out to those guys. And I've been doing MMA, like, fighting for the last year and a half, twice a week. I go to kickboxing another day. And we literally work on these things. And I'll say to Kai, like, okay, what if someone comes up behind me and like tries to pick me up? Or what if I'm on the ground? And so we've worked on, like, we've worked on boxing, we've worked on kickboxing. We've worked on wrestling. Like, we fight on the wall all the time. Like, so if a guy gets me to the wall or a guy gets me to the ground, or like, and then we also work, I have what they call a blue gun. So it's like just a plastic gun that doesn't fire. And we work on that, like being on the ground and drawing and, the close quarter fighting, because I wanted to be prepared.
Yeah.
Right. And I wanted to be able to tell my women, like, this is what you need to learn. And again, if you walk into a class and they say that, like, you're going to be ready after 3 hours, like, that's a lie.
That's bullshit.
Right. You can't even.
I'm sorry. What in life in general?
Right.
In 3 hours are you going to be an expert at?
Nothing.
I mean, that's just not possible.
So I want to give a shout out to these guys, because I literally throw all kinds of stuff at them, and they always, they come back to me with great answers. The teaching, they're patient, they're kind. So if you're in the Gainesville area, West End Martial Arts, I cannot stress this enough. Like, ladies,
I might need to like go with you someday.
Yes.
Well, and here's my thing. Here's point blank. It all scares the fuck out of me.
Yeah.
And Maggie knows this because we've been talking about training me for shooting now for 6 months, a year.
Over a year.
A year. Yeah. I still haven't literally pulled the trigger. Because again, like, it's one of those things where I'm like, I don't want to have to know this.
I know.
I don't want to have to know this.
Right. In a great world, like, we would be able to walk down the sidewalk at nighttime and like not be afraid.
Yeah.
But that's not the world we live in.
Correct.
And
and the thing is I want to say, men, fucking fix yourselves. You're the ones causing this. It's not us. What I wear does not impact that.
Right.
Whether or not I've been drinking does not impact that. Fucking man up and like stop assaulting women.
Right.
But the problem is that's not happening.
Right.
And we know as our culture, men don't get in trouble for assaulting women.
Right. Right.
We see it over and over and over again. And so that means as women, as much as I don't want to have to fucking do this, we have to. And I need to balls up and actually start doing it because I still have that hang up of why? Why do I have to do that when I'm not the one causing the problem?
We shouldn't have to.
Correct.
Right? Like, we shouldn't have to learn how to defend ourselves, right? We should be able to be at home alone in our house and like be safe and be in our car and like go out and have a couple of drinks.
Right.
And I will tell you, I've had several people say to me, like, well, that doesn't happen in Gainesville. And I'm like, okay, well, it does.
But it does.
Yeah, a friend of mine, his wife is a rape victim advocate here in Alachua County, and I've heard some very horrifying stories, and it is shocking that stuff like that actually happens here. And now, let me say this: I don't walk around paranoid.
No,
I don't walk around like I'm going to get
attacked. But I'm also always aware.
That is, if you don't take anything else away from this interview, like, you have to be aware. Like, if you walk out of the grocery store, like, do not be on your phone. No. Head up, like, kind of scanning the parking lot. Before I get out of my truck anywhere, I take a look around and see who's around. Like, you have to be aware of your surroundings.
I was recently like at a club, and it was a gay club, and I was upstairs in like the balcony area, and I looked down and I could see outside, and we're at a gay club. First off, we know those are oftentimes targets, and I looked down and there was a guy outside wearing like a pig mask and he had a shirt that said America. And I went, fuck. And literally it was, I never took my eyes off that person.
Right.
Now, nothing happened.
Thankfully.
Right. But that was one of those moments where I was like, this is one of those moments where I may need to know this.
Right.
And I don't.
Right.
You know, and I think that that's the thing, you know, and as women, like we say, it doesn't matter if we're getting fucking like gas in our car, walking down the street. Someone, you know, guys have said to me, they thought, oh, well, the reason women go to the bathroom together is because like they have fun, they're gossiping. And I was like, bitch, no, we go to the bathroom together because like there are certain places where we're not safe to go to the bathroom by ourselves.
Right. And like I still check all the stalls.
Correct.
So,
like, but you know, like I, like one of my favorite bars that I go to, you have to sort of walk through a gauntlet to get to the bathroom.
Right.
And oftentimes we will go together and there's one stall and we go in together. And it's not because we want to see each other pee. No offense. Like I really don't want to see my friends pee.
Right. But it's so normal to us.
It's so
now.
normal
like,
because like
care.
That's what you do.
Yeah.
It is for safety reasons that we do that.
Right.
It is not because we're gossiping in the bathroom and we're doing each other's lip gloss.
Right.
It's because we don't want to get attacked, and if we go in numbers, it's gonna be better.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's really sad because we talk all the time about, as women, like all the things we think about the minute we leave our house.
Right.
And men are completely unaware that this is what we do.
Right. They literally like grab their keys
and go
and their wallet and they get in the car.
And we're like, okay, do we have this? Do we have that? We're going to scan the area. We're going to make sure everything is good to go. Do we turn on the alarm? Did we do this? Did we do that? Like, it's every time.
Talk about like leaving work when it's dark.
Oh my God. So I hate when it's the time of year where it's dark when I leave the house and dark when I come home because I feel so unsafe.
Right.
That like, this is when it's not safe.
And most attacks happen at nighttime, right? Low light, no light, that kind of thing.
I've had, you know, back in the day when I actually was together enough to like go to a gym, I remember I would drive around the parking lot until I could find a spot up close.
Right.
Underneath a light.
Yep.
And if I couldn't find one, I left.
Yeah.
And I had guys be like, what, you're at the gym, just like walk some extra feet, like da 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 da. And I was like, motherfucker, it's not about that.
Yeah.
One of the number one places that women are attacked are in gym parking lots.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, there is no way that I am not parking under a light close to the front door.
And here's the other thing that just chaps my ass is like when I have to like defend my decision.
Yes.
Right? Like, why am I defending my decision to you? Like, this is what makes me feel comfortable.
Feel safe.
And the other thing is, like, guys, no offense, but like, you don't get catcalled all the time. No. Right? And here's the other thing.
It's not a compliment.
Right. And we know that not everybody's a rapist, but we don't know who the rapists are.
Because sometimes they're the most attractive, put together, successful people.
Right.
And are the one that's going to fucking hit me and rape me.
And they're hidden in plain sight.
Yeah.
Also, guys.
So yeah, that's the thing. Like, it's not, to be honest, the like homeless guy in the corner is not who I'm worried about.
Right.
It is the well put together dude. And to be honest, you want the actual truth, it's the well put together white man who's successful that I'm more scared of.
Yeah.
I've had more instances with that than anything else.
Right. Right.
You know, and that's, you know, something you deal with every single day as a woman.
Every day.
I hate that we have to have this conversation.
I know.
I hate that you have to do this to help women,
Yeah.
that you got put in your own, like in the position to do it for yourself and then help others. This is not where we should be. Right. This is not what life as a woman should be. But that's where we are.
Yeah.
So with all that being said, thank you so much for coming on the show. If you're watching the show, it has triggered you in some way, please reach out for mental health care, for someone to help you with your own personal training to get to this point. We know that this was a very triggering conversation for many people because most of us have gone through at least some element of what we discussed today.
Right.
So please, if you need help, reach out to get that help. There is always a way out. It's fucking hard, and we don't want you to be the next person to be on the phone with their mother and be killed on the phone. So please, please, please get help. Reach out to mental health providers. Reach out to an area to support women to get out of these situations and work on some self-defense training for yourself. I know myself, I need to get with Maggie and actually do it.
Please.
Actually I need to fucking do it, y'all. Anyway, Maggie, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for everything you are doing to help women stay safe. I really appreciate it. for all of us.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
All right, you guys, subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. You know you want to. Make sure you do it. And thank you guys so much for watching. We'll talk to you on the next episode. Bye.